Hey guys, welcome back to Team Death Slinger. My name is Peter, and today we've got something fun. So today I was sorting through my foil cards. I keep my cards in these handy binders over here, and I was going through cards that I'm not using, and I decided to challenge myself to use some of these cards that I've kind of got stowed away that I tried to make decks with, didn't really enjoy, and only use cards that I currently own to make some decks out of. And by own, I mean they can't be in other decks that I'm using. I can't just pull good pieces out of other decks. And I kind of want to go through the two decks I wound up making and go through maybe what my thought process was and how I actually built these decks. And maybe some of you guys who might be struggling to do something with your extra cards might be motivated to do something, try something new, I guess, technically lower power level decks. And just have some fun with it. So the first deck I made is a kind of, I don't know if you can call it a purple pile or not. There's a lot of in-theme cards here, but what I started with was I want to use the SkullGreymon alt arts that I've had sitting around. If you don't know what this card does, it's when you trash a card in your hand using one of your effects. If you trash this card, you can place it under one of your purple Digimon as its bottom source, and it's a retaliate inheritable. And so I have some Shotos I'm not using. I opened a lot of EX7 products, so I've got Shotos, and I said, so Shoto means I give something blocker. This means I can give something retaliate. So what can I do with the cards I have to pitch this, give something retaliate, and then make Shoto make it a blocker and, do something with it. So my next thought was, of all the level 6s I have lots of Chaos Gallantmons. I have lots of Gigimons, stuff like that. I didn't want to use it because I have lots of Chaos Gallantmon decks on this profile. What I have never kept in a deck because I never really enjoyed the way it played was Cresgarurumon. So this card has security attack +1, Digiburst for 2 to play a purple level 3 Digimon from your trash without paying its cost. And typically you would pair this with some kind of unsuspend body, which you can see above I do have several of. So you're swinging, sacking your body to unsuspend. And the reason I kind of liked where this was going is because I can technically come in, swing 2 checks, and then unsuspend. At worst, I've dealt 2 damage, and then Shoto gives this a blocker. Sometimes, if you've played a Cresgarurumon deck before, you know that you might have a little bit of trouble finishing people off, getting enough checks to actually win. What this kind of allows me to do is that I can end on an unsuspended Cresgar and make it a blocker, depending on the inheritables I leave. Like if I leave the SkullGreymon Retaliate inheritable, this is suddenly a little bit of an annoying body for the opponent to get past. They got to deal with our Retaliate blocker, which is not fun. The other level 6 that I had laying around that I just chose might be nice to round out this level 6 count is Takamon. When Digivolving, you trash a card, so we can trash the SkullGreymon, again getting that Retaliate body. And then when you trash a card, you get security attack +1 and 2k DP, so we can go in, swing 2 checks, unsuspend, and then be a blocker. So that sounded pretty good to me. So then I had to figure out what am I going to build around this. Obviously, I have the Black War Growlmons. If you saw my BT17 Chaos Gallantmon list, I was running this in the deck. I did take it out after the fact for the Lady Devimon X engine. So I had 3 of these pre-release copies floating around. I said, okay, I've got 3 of these to throw in. Let's go 3 and then 2 of the Weregar that does the same thing, because I had these laying around from when I tried to make Cresgar work in the past. So we have 5 unsuspended inheritables and then the 2 SkullGreymons to pitch. So we had our level 5s and 6s. We had a rough idea. I decided, okay, if we're going to unsuspend bodies, I've got a million copies of this participation pack Guilmon lying around. Let's throw 3 in there to get some memory back off of that. So now, what can I do to effectively draw and pitch cards? Well, I did open a lot of EX5 products, so I've got the Sayakomons lying around, and the only reason Sayakomon matters is because I can pair it with Sayakomon X-antibody, which when attacking lets you draw 1 and trash 1. So now I have a way to stack some additional sources with the X-antibody engine, and I can also run these Gessomon and Gessomon X's, because Gessomon X does the same thing as Sayakomon X. And now instead of having 2 cards in my stack that would let me draw 1, trash 1, I can turn that into 4 cards, 2 of which will still give me that inheritable. So I'm building up sources for Cresgar to pitch. I'm going to draw and trash. I'm going to get that Retaliate inheritable underneath my stack. And the effects on these cards are just good. This is going to let you trash cards under your opponent's Digimon or Tamer, so it's kind of going to deal with hybrids. And the Gessomon's going to be a blocker. It's going to force your opponent to trash a card or give you a memory, which makes this a really efficient card to actually Digivolve into. The inheritable on this and the Sayakomon don't really matter. You're probably not going to gain a memory off of it. But on play, you can actually draw 1, trash 1, and the Cresgar Digiburst will let you play that level 3 with the effect activating. So you can actually draw a card, pitch a card, and then tuck another SkullGreymon under your Cresgar. If you tuck or if you Digiburst away the Syakomon and the SkullGreymon, or if you have the SkullGreymon in your hand and you pitch something else, this comes into play. And then you can retuck the SkullGreymon. If you loop that at least twice and you have the 2 SkullGreymons in your hand, you're just getting an extra Digiburst unsuspend off of that loop, which is pretty cool. And then the Syakomon X actually has a really useful start of main and when Digivolving. They can trash a Digimon. If they don't, you gain a memory. So there's kind of some ways to scavenge some memory. Obviously, if we're pitching cards, Sunomon is the egg of choice, and I have about 1 million of these lying around as well. I did have 2 Raremons laying around, so this filled out my champion count. I figure if I'm bricked, I'm just going to throw this down, trash a card, draw 2. If I have Shoto on board and I really need something to stop my opponent from beating my head in, I can always pitch the SkullGreymon with this, and this is just a retaliate blocker sitting on board. So that's not too bad. Filling out the rest of our space, I have 1 million purple memory boosts, so they fit. I had 2 extra wisdom trainings because I recently bought all the starters. So I had 2 that got pulled out of other decks, and they're sitting around, so I figure why not throw my 2 wisdoms in here. I did recently replace my X-antibodies with some alt arts, so I had 2 of these lying around. And just to make sure I could find them, I had 3 Cool Boys. So let's use the Cool Boy engine, find our protoforms, get some memory back when we go into the X-antibodies, and actually make sure this deck can tick properly. 1 copy of the Matt Ishida, just to make sure we get memory back and we have a memory setter, and then 3 copies of Shoto to gain a memory, and then get that piercing blocker. So I actually really enjoyed the challenge of making this deck, and I hope that thought process helps you guys maybe get through some of your bulk. But what I want to show you now is another deck that I built because I did have some other cards that I really wanted to use, and we can go over what I did with that card. Spoiler, it's also going to use Shoto, but it is a different color, so stay tuned for that. So the next deck I wound up building happened to be centered around these VictoryGreymons I had. I bought a whole lot of alt arts for these because I had a deck I wanted to make where I used the Virus MetalGreymon that has security attack +2, a bunch of lightning javelins to just swing and clear out the opponent's security, and then evo into VictoryGreymon and hopefully pop whatever body they have on board. Didn't exactly pan out, but I said, okay, let's use these VictoryGreymons and make a pile with them. So I went 4-2 on the VictoryGreymons. This one is just much better than the old one, but this alt art is gorgeous, so I decided I'm going to use it. I was originally going to go 3 on the VictoryGreymons, but I decided I'm going to throw this Gallantmon that I've had sitting in my binder for forever into this deck because I can, right? So one of the weaknesses of VictoryGreymon here is that we have a really low DP deletion threshold. And in order to deal with that, I said, okay, well, I have these Guilmon X's and these Guilmon X-antibodies that I bought forever ago that was in my very first Gallantmon deck. So why don't we use these? They don't have 3 to Evo or 1 to Evo. They just go for 0. And we can use this to up that DP threshold. So now I'm thinking VictoryGreymon can pop an 8k or less, and then I add 2k to the maximum DP. So now we're talking about a 10k if that's the only thing on board. Now let's throw this Gigimon egg in the mix, and now we're popping an 11k. Now VictoryGreymon is actually kind of a usable card. Even if the opponent has 1 Digimon on board, you can pop an 11k, and that's pretty nice, okay? So we Digivolve into this, we pop a body. Obviously, we're going to throw the Shotos in there because blocker is good. It makes a lot of these old cards that were not viable more viable when it's a blocker and the opponent has to think about dealing with it. And if we're going to pop something with DP-based deletion effects, let's throw Takato in. We're already using Growlmons anyways, and I do happen to have these BT12 Growlmons that let you play a Takato when you Evo, so I am going to be able to get the free Takato, which is really nice. I don't have to worry about playing the Takato. I only really have to pay for the Shoto. And now we have a nice little engine going where I can get DP boost. I can increase my DP-based deletion. If we're increasing DP-based deletion, let's throw these Guilmons in there. If we play a Takato or a Guilmon, a Takato or a Calumon, we get to pop something with 3k or gain a memory, which is not bad. And this will also add 2k if our memory is 0. So if we Evo into the VictoryGreymon and we pass turn, we're adding another 2k to the count. So at this point, I had 8 rookies. I needed to round out the count. I did go 2 of the Searcher Guilmons because we need to find Takatos, we need to find Growlmons, and then I added 2 of the Calumons. I have the alt art from the funny premium deck box. It's like the full art version of the card, and I wanted to use them. So if this ever sticks on board, I'm going to get memory back from Evoing. I'm going to get to draw cards, which is going to help us because we don't have the most robust search package. We really just have our offense trainings and our Searcher Guilmons because we're not running a draw egg. So this kind of fulfills a semi-important role, and I could justify running it. To finish filling out our champions, we did have our Growlmons and our Growlmon X's, and I figured, let's run the BT17 Growlmon. This will also add to our DP-based deletion effects, which is nice. We can't really complain about it. For our level 5s, I've been sitting on these SkullGreymons ever since they came out of Minervamon, and if we're increasing DP-based deletion thresholds, this could be really, really nasty, because we can, let's say we get our Calumon on board, and we're gaining memory as we do things, we pop our Calumon. If we have Growlmon X, Growlmon, Guilmon, and Guilmon X, this is 3k bonus, this is 3k bonus, this is a 6k bonus total. On top of this 5k, now we can pop 2 of our opponent's Digimon with 11k DP or less, and this is a devastating card. We can just ruin somebody's day with this. And then in the original version of the build, I was running BT8 MetalGreymon. The Inheritable is really good with VictoryGreymon, because if you have Dragonkin, you can attack your opponent's unsuspended Digimon, so our VictoryGreymon kind of has a pseudo raid and blocker effect. We kind of get to pick and choose what we want. The D-Digivolve will be really great, and if we do get up to that minus 6k DP increase, we can delete something with 9k or less after D-Digivolving. If they have a level 6, you're just going to pop that level 5. So our level 5 removal package is really great here. I added MetalGreymon ACE because, again, with all these DP-based deletion effects, if you ace on your opponent's turn, you're only going to be able to pop an 8k, but 8k is infinitely better than 6k, because now you can actually pop level 5s if they come swinging in. Otherwise, if you evo into this and you have all of your DP increases, you can pop up to a 12k with this, which is not bad. If you have Takato in play, you're going to get memory back off of that, and you're going to be able to extend your turn. Then I had a copy of this proxy laying around. If I'm running Takato that has Blitz, I might as well run this. It is a removal on a stick, and then you Blitz, and you get to trash 1, check 1. It's at least 2 checks, which is really great. Blitz Omni, I have extra copies, so let's throw one in and let it do what it's going to do. And then we have our offense trainings again left over from the starter decks. I never threw them in anything. Shoto blocker, Takato for the Blitz, because we can play it with the Growlmons. And now that I'm looking at this in hindsight, I realize I have 12 champions, so what I will probably do is drop one of these and drop one of these, and we'll add 2 red memory boosts to round out our search package. So just on a cool little video I thought I could make to show you guys we can have some fun when we deck build. Go through your collection, see what you've got laying around. We don't always have to build the best decks possible here. I think these decks are interesting. I think they have some cool ideas behind them that I'm actually really excited to sit down, try out, and see what I like. And yes, I do have red memory boost. There's a reason I added these. But, you know, you can have some fun with it. You can see what you guys have laying around. Challenge yourselves to really flex your deck building muscles. Let me know what you guys come up with in the comments down below. Let me know if you do this routinely. Do you go through your collections and just throw together decks and see what you got? Personally, what I really am excited to do is to play these decks against each other. I'll hand one to my brother, I'll play the other one, and we'll just see how they do and how they play. So that's it for this video. I know it's a little bit different. It's not super structured. I didn't read the effect of, you know, every card here, but you know, if you want more off the cuff stuff like this, or if you really just prefer the structured deck profiles, you don't want anything that's probably pretty low tier like this. But that's it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day.